Okay. Screen is visible, right? All of you.
Yes.
So today we will start Jenkins. So anyone has any prior experience in Jenkins? No idea, right? Or not to Jenkins. Okay. Hmm. Then coming to Jenkins, okay. Jenkins is a open source automation server. Say, hmm, open source automation server. Automation server used for continuous integration, CI and CD, continuous delivery or deployment. In DevOps. Also, it helps building, testing, and deploy software. Software by integrating DevOps tools like Git, Docker, Kubernetes, etc. Also, Jenkins allows developers to detect and fix issues early by continuous testing code changes. See here, you can see coming to the testing, we use continuous testing. So it's continuously testing the code, okay, whenever the new code changes. So if any issues related to code, the development team can early fix that code before deploying to production. So basically, Jenkins is a open source automation server. Automation server means it will automating continuous integration and continuous deployment coming to software development lifecycle. Some alternatives for Jenkins, Bamboo CI, then Azure DevOps, Azure DevOps. Coming to Azure DevOps is an organization actually. Coming to Azure DevOps, we use Azure Pipeline, similar like Jenkins, Azure Pipeline. Then some key features. Coming to the key features of Jenkins, one is extensible, okay? Automated. Second one is automated build and testing. Distributed execution. Fourth one, pipeline as code. Pipeline as code. So these are the four key features of Jenkins. Coming to the first one, extensible, it support plugins for various integration. Okay, like for example, if we need to, uh, adding some applications plugins. Okay, so for that we can integrate with the Git or Maven, Ansible, Docker, Kubernetes, like that. We can install the plugins for integrations. For example, here we have the Jenkins. Okay, this is our Jenkins server. So Jenkins interact with some other tools. Okay, whenever that job start. So here we can see there is a Kubernetes here. So we need to install the plugins first. Okay, before running that job, first we need to install the plugins, and through the plugins we need to integrate with the Kubernetes. So the Jenkins can integrate or interact with the Kubernetes whenever that deployment needed. So similar way, we need to install uh, plugins. Then coming to automated build and test, it runs to compile, test, and deploy application. So we use scripting or declarative script whenever we starting project coming to Jenkins. So using that script, what are the things that we define in the script? Okay, for example, compiling of code, testing of code, deployment of code. So everything will be automated by Jenkins. So that's why we first here you can see is a open source automation server. Automation, but deployment of application, including CI and CD. Then distributed execution. So this can run jobs across multiple machines for efficiency. For example, um, in coming to production environment, how we will set up Jenkins, we go with the master slave approach. Okay, so for example, we set up one EC2 machine, and inside the EC2 machine, it's an open source application Jenkins, so we can uh, download that application package, keys, and everything to install our own machine. So we can install the machine. Jenkins can install the EC2 machine. Okay, this is EC2 machine, and this is Jenkins service. And after installing Jenkins, we need to deploy or we need to start work, right? I mean, building application or writing that script file like that. So consider like that we write application or the script, okay, to build the pipeline. So we have a file, a Groovy script, okay. We used Groovy script when coming to Jenkins. Groovy is a language. It's a human readable scripting language. So we define everything in the script. After we run or build the job, this is a job belongs to Jenkins. So after write that Groovy script YAML, this is a declarative way, okay? Declarative. After write that YAML, sorry, Groovy script, we need to build the job. Build. So whenever we run that or run the build job, what will happen? The Jenkins, okay, the Jenkins will run or execute what are things that we define here. So the execution server in this case, the same EC2 machine. You got it. For example, Jenkins will starting pull the image, right? Pull that repos. For example, in that script file, we need the code first, right? So the code belongs to some repository like GitHub or anything, anywhere. So first it will plot that application code, the raw code, then it will starting to build the process. The first thing, for example, compile the code, right? So compiling needs a machine, right? Compiling is a execution. So that process needs a machine. So in this case, the same EC2 machine is that execution agent for Jenkins. Consider like that, we have a lot of works, like what lot of application running, lot of build process running. So everything utilizing the same EC2 machine, CPU, and memory. So it will slow or our machine efficiency will high, right? So in that case, we need to set up master slave, master slave Jenkins installation. Okay. So in that case, if you set up master slave, that where actually we install the Jenkins. Okay. So in this case, the first EC2 machine. So for the slave, we need to set up another EC2 machine. So the ECD2 and uh, this machine we called as a controller, Jenkins controller. So there is no execution belongs to the server. If we select or if we add another EC2 machine as a slave. So we need to add, right? First, we need to set up the second machine and go to Jenkins and that we can, there is option to add node as the agent. So if we select the second machine, so the execution belongs to the second machine. This machine will be free. Got it. For example, this is a job. If you run, so the execution happening here. So that's why we can distribute execution. We have, if you have more load, we need to add more node, right? This is called a node actually coming to Jenkins. So similar way we set up master slave coming to Jenkins. Then pipeline as code. That's the last one key feature. Okay, that is support defining CI/CD pipeline using declarative or scripted syntax. So most probably we go with the declarative pipeline or declarative syntax. So coming to installation, we have to download the latest package with the key. Then some dependency they're installing Jenkins, that is Java, because Jenkins is written with Java. So we need to install first Java. Okay. If we are planning to install Jenkins on any EC2 machine or any virtual machine, we need to ensure that the Java installed properly. After that, we can install Jenkins. Then we can, after the successful installation, we can take that UI that we can see that Jenkins application using browser. Anyone have any doubt?
You said Jenkins is written in Java, right?
Hmm. Yeah. So we can go with the installation process. Okay. So for installing Jenkins, we need to leverage some EC2 machine. I will go with the previous version, okay, LTS 22, Ubuntu version. So whenever we install in Jenkins, at least we need to select T2 medium. Otherwise, the application will hang. On the instance. Then we can go with the official documentation, okay? Jenkins installation. So this is our official documentation by Jenkins, so where we can download the package as well. So here we can see Linux, select Ubuntu. If you are using Amazon Linux, we can go with the Amazon Linux package, okay? So here you can see two things there, like two types of support release. One is long time and weekly release. You can go with the weekly, sorry, long time, okay? So this is the bash script to install Jenkins. So we can copy entire script and run it on our server. But before that, we need to install Java. For Java installation, scroll down and see these are the commands. Copy. So installing Java started. The version 17.013. So the Java successfully installed. You can check the version as well. Now we have to run that script file, okay, for the long-term support. So I will copy the entire one and paste it here. So it will starting to taking that package, the package key. After it will install the Jenkins within the same server. So that's the command. See, first we using duplicate, we will take that Jenkins key ring. See the key, then it echoing to the user directory. See, this is a user directory. Then taking that Jenkins DBA stable binary. So using sudo t, we write something to the directory, downl, then using update again, then install Jenkins. Above we taken the Jenkins binary. So we can install the Jenkins from that package. So here you can see Jenkins successfully installed. You can check the status as well. System CDL. See, Jenkins is up and running. Jenkins default port number is 8080. Okay, so we need to open the port number as well to access Jenkins. Copy the public IP. 88. See, this is the Jenkins starting page. Okay, whenever we first install Jenkins, we need to unlock Jenkins. So for unlocking, we need to go to the directory varlib Jenkins secret. So under the directory, there is a file initial admin password. So we need to go to the file to see the password. Okay. So we can cat using cat command, we can see the content under the file index, sorry, initial admin password. So before that, whenever we checking the status, first we can see the logs. Okay, so this is actually the password. See, same thing, right? So that's included in the log as well. So we can copy the same and provide here. And we can unlock Jenkins. So the Jenkins unlock. Now it's we need to go with the customized Jenkins page. Okay, so two options there. One is install suggested plugin and select plugins to install. You can go with the suggested one, and going forward, if we need any plugins, we need to do manually. Okay. So some suggested plugins installing. See, these are the suggested plugins. Plugin is actually coming to Jenkins. Plugins using for interact with some other services. Okay. Without plugins, that's Jenkins can't communicate with the other service. So this is a page to create first admin user, or else we can skip with the containers admin. This will be the URL, okay, to access the Jenkins. This will be the dashboard, okay. First time we configure everything. This is a landing page or the dashboard of Jenkins where we configuring jobs and installing plugins, keeping credentials, a lot of things we do from here, okay. So first we can go with the plugins page. So go to the manage Jenkins. So coming to the manage Jenkins here, actually we do the configuration mostly, okay. For example, tool configuration, system configuration, node configuration, plugins installation, credentials, security, all things belongs to here. For the node part, we discussed, right, the distribution, execution distribution. So for example, this is the master machine, consider like that, master. So we need to add some node, right? Or the slave. So we need to go to the node. So this way we adding that's agents or the node agents for the slave. So click on that node agent, the node name permanent agent. Then before that, we need to set up the machine, right? So this way we configuring the node. I will show you later. Then the plugins installation. So for example, we are going to do some, preparing an application to deploy Docker, right? So for installing deployment of application to Docker, we need to install Docker plugins first inside the Jenkins. So we need to type Docker. So come to the plugins and I will click on our plugins and type the plugins that we need. So these are the Docker related plugins. So we need to install respectively. Okay. For the Kubernetes as well. So here we can see these are the Kubernetes related plugins. Java application related plugins there. A lot of plugins are available here. So similar way as per the requirement, we need to install the plugins before configuring the that specific tool. Okay. Then credential. There is another main thing is credentials. Okay. See, here actually we keeping that credentials of third-party application. For example, we need to add a Docker hub or we need to add GitHub credentials or Kubernetes keeping Kubernetes kubeconfig file. So all these things we need to add here, okay? Under the global credential, we need to add the credential. And here we need to provide the necessary details and create. So that's why we keeping or Jenkins keeping secrets. And Jenkins use these secrets, okay? Whenever the Jenkins need to authenticate with the corresponding application or the third-party application like Docker Hub or GitHub, like that. Also, we need to define the credential ID inside our application syntax or that Groovy syntax. Then the tools configuration. This is tool configuration page. Okay. So what are the tools that we use in our application? So that we need to install here. Okay. Not install actually. This is a configuration. First, we need to install the related tools things plugins. Then after we need to came here and configure the tools. For example, we use Java dependency kit or Java for a project, okay, or an application. So we need to define that tools name in our syntax file. Also, we need to configure the same thing here as well. The name, the version, everything we need to define. Then coming to the project creation, okay, see new item. You can see the new item here. So click on the new item. So this way we creating a project coming to Jenkins. So here we need to provide the name and we need to define that any of the item here. Okay. Freestyle project there, pipeline project there. So different types of projects. Different types are available here. Okay. So as per the requirement, we need to select corresponding thing. We are going with the most probably with the pipeline based one. Okay. So you selecting the pipeline one, we need to create that Groovy script and run that or run the project as well, okay, after completing the Groovy script. So right now we can go with a simple project using Freestyle project. So I'm selecting the Freestyle project. Freestyle project, we don't need to define any any syntax there, okay. It's a freestyle, just configuring the required thing that we needed. Okay, so I am here created a project. So you can see coming to the dashboard. This is a project just now I created the name Jenkins. Okay, I just renamed the name, project name. Okay, so this is a project and after creating project, we landing to the configuration page, okay. So this is a configuring page for the respective project. See, dashboard, project name, then the configuration. So here actually we need to configure corresponding thing, okay. So we can go with a project deployment. So using a CI/CD pipeline. So we are going to create a CI/CD pipeline using Freestyle project in Jenkins. Freestyle project. For creating a CI/CD pipeline, some mandatory things we need. One is our source code management, SCM. So in this case, I'm using GitHub as my source code management. So in my GitHub, I have an application repository there. So that application we are going to deploy using CI/CD. Then we need to set up the Jenkins or any CI/CD platform. In this case, we already configure Jenkins. So we need to integrate this with the repository. Then The next thing is we need to the CI is done. Now the CD part we need to configure. Okay, so this is application report the raw code, and we need to deploy the raw code to production server or any infrastructure. Okay, so we need to liberate some virtual machine. Okay, so we called this one as our production server, and we after we build that pipeline. Okay, so we can see the Jenkins will take the application code and send that code to production server. So for that, first we need to deploy one more machine for that production server. I will go with the Linux, Amazon Linux. That's fine. Also, T2 Micro is enough. I'm selecting one of the key pair that belongs to this machine and enable public AP. Launch instance. This is a simple web app deployment. Okay, so we need to install some dependency on this machine, like the web server. And so I'm just log into that machine and install the web server. Okay, the Apache. For any of the web server we can install. So I'm logging to the production server. I'm installing HTTP. Okay, Apache. I'm install HTTPD. We need to start it manually. That's fine. Same way, we need to open the port number for the same machine. So we need to open the port number 80. Select the HTTP. HTTP. That's fine. So we need to check that Apache running fine or not on that machine. So for that, we need to check the IP and put it on web server. Sorry, browser. Yeah, it's works. See, Apache running fine. So the production server, everything seems look good. Now we need to configure the project. Okay, from here. Before that, we need to do one thing. Okay, so here actually uh, this is a Jenkins machine. Okay, this is a Jenkins related to a machine, right? It belongs to a EC2 machine, EC2. And now we created another EC2 machine for the application deployment, that is production server, right? It's another EC2 machine. How we will access the machine remotely? For example, this machine belongs to US region, okay? So how we will remotely access the machine? Now you can see I directly click connect now using AWS account, right? If we don't log into AWS account, how we will access the machine using that machine pump key, that is a private key, the public IP, and the username. Using these three things, we can authenticate with the remote server. So in this case, actually, the Jenkins actually do the same thing. Okay, whenever the application pushing to the production server using we need to provide these credentials like the PEM key, IP, and the username. So Jenkins will deploy the application to production using SSH connection. Okay, so for SSH connection, we need to provide these things. Also, we need to install a plugin inside the Jenkins, that is publish over SSH. SSH. This is a publish, right? Jenkins publish the code over SSH to the production server. So for that, we need to install the plugin. So go to that manage Jenkins and plugins, available plugins, search the plugins, publish over. So this is a one, publish over SSH. Select that plugin and install. So after installing these plugins, we got a configuration for the same. Okay, otherwise that configuration is not there. So now it's everything is installed. Now we can go with the system and search that plugin is listed there or not. So under the system, we need to configure the server types things. Okay, for example, SonarQube server or these types of production server. So every servers related things we need to configure under the Jenkins system. So here you can see that is enabled here. Before, if we came here, we can't see this part because we don't install the plugins. So this is the configuration part for publish over SSH. So here we can see a lot of things, but we can leave fast-paced path to the key. We only provide the key. Okay, the key means the PEM key, the private key for the production server. So the key already, I copied the key. The key is belongs to my local machine. Okay, so I copied that key content using testpad. I opened the key. Okay, so this is the encrypted data belongs to the key. So I provide the key. Then we need to see the SSH server, add that server, and provide the name for the server, production, then the host name. Host name is the public IP of that production server. So copy the public IP, the username, the default username, easy to use. Or else if we need to add any other user, we need to create the user first and provide it here. Okay. Then the remote directory. And give me a second, I'm getting a call. Okay. Okay. So then coming to the remote directory. Okay. Remote directory means this is Apache. Okay, in production we install Apache, that is HTTPD. So for this is pipeline for a web app deployment. Before how we will keep how we will copy the web app deployment web application file, that is index.html file or letter file under directory var www html, right? So we need to provide the same directory here. So the Jenkins will do the rest of thing. Okay, I mean moving the application content to the provider directory, that is var www html. Also, we need to test the configuration. Okay, if we can see everything seems good, we got a success message here. See, everything seems good. Now apply and save. So we successfully added the server inside Jenkins, and Jenkins can authenticate with our server as well. Now we are good to go to create the pipeline configuration. So go to the configure. Here, this is a GitHub project based application. So we need to enable or click tick mark on the GitHub project and provide the project URL. So for the project URL, so this is a project PHP demo. This is our application repository. Okay, so this repository we using for the application. So we need to provide the project URL, right? So this is the project URL. Copy and provide it here. Then the next thing is we need to select the source code management. In this case, it's Git, right? So we need to provide the Git repository URL as well. So go back and copy the repository URL. This is a repository URL. Copy and paste it here. That's fine. So here you can see credentials. In this case, this is a public repository. So we don't need to provide any credential. If it is private, then we need to configure the credential. Okay. So we can leave. And coming to the master branch specifier. Okay. Here we can see is master. See. So if any other branch, then we need to define here. Then the next part is trigger. How this see here we can see set up automated action that start your build based on a specific event like code changes. Code changes means in the repository, if any code changes, it will trigger. That's the meaning, okay? Or schedule time like that. So we need to select corresponding thing. In this case, we need to select GitHub hook trigger for Git sample only. That means when Jenkins receive a GitHub push hook, okay, GitHub plugins check for see whether the hook came from a GitHub repository which match the Git repository defined in SCM section on this job. If they match and this option is enabled, GitHub plugins trigger one-time polling on GitHub. When GitHub polls, GitHub it find there is a change and initiate a build. So this is the main part, okay? It finds that there is a change. Change means a code change. For example, we deploy an application, right? So for the same application, there is some change. Sorry, there is some code. So consider we need to do some new features, okay? Adding new things in that application. So we need to take the code and adding new code to the existing code, right? So that means it's a code change with our existing code. So in that case, Jenkins will do the same process. I mean, initiate a build again. So we need to enable that one, GitHub hook trigger for GitHub symbolic. Then coming to the environment, configure settings variables that define the context in the which your build runs, like credential, path, global parameter. So that we need to define here. Okay. In this case, we need to select send files or execute command or SSH after the builds runs. This will run the SSH publisher after the build as finished. Okay, after the build finish means Jenkins will take the code and starting the build process. Okay, after it's completed, what will do? It will publish. Build has finished and will run no matter what the status of the build was. So we need to select send files or execute command over SSH after the build runs. So I'm selecting that one. If I selecting, we need to define the server, okay? So in this case, we already configure the server. That's why it's listed here, the production server. And we need to do some more things. The source file we need to provide here. The source file means some format we need to define here, okay? Like jar or var, HTML like that. So coming to my project, you can see it's HTML file there, PHP there. Coming to HTML, we can see index.css there. See CSS. So we need to provide that things here. Okay. Node.jar, HTML, comma. If we have more, then we need to define that thing. CSS, comma, PHP. That's fine. Then the remote directory, we can put it as forward. That is a root directory. That's fine. That's all we can apply and save. So the project configuration part is complete. Okay, so now we are in the project page, and here we can see the build now option here. Okay, so click here to manually run the project. So it started to build. You can see it's completed. Okay, it's a small project. That's why we can see it's completed. See that it's finished. Okay, I will try to build it again. Okay, I made some changes on the repository. So the second build has been done. Now we can go and check that application, the production server. Okay, just a refresh. I think same here. Transferred zero file. Okay. I'm providing some permissions. Okay. So +7 sharp. some issues are there. Okay, everything seems good, but the application is not moving, or the Jenkins does not transfer any files from Jenkins to production server.
Can you cross-check that the Jenkins pulls the recent changes you made on the GitHub?
Hmm. That we will check. Wait a second. So after the reboot, we can try it again, okay? It's same, I think. So we can continue tomorrow, right? I mean, troubleshooting taking too much time.
Sure.
So, yes.
Okay.
Good morning to you. Good evening to everybody else. Thank you for the class. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Bye all. Good night.
Good night.